Well, Bishop, you and I missed last week because we were in Dallas.
Right.
We were hanging out with one of, I'm probably not a mentor, or like I don't know what relationship. Coach. But a pastor called Conway Edwards out of Dallas.
Yes.
Has a large multi-ethnic church.
One community church.
And so we've been down there twice now and let him
coach us up,
infuse us with ideas.
Yes. He has an amazing ministry. He's an awesome, energized type of guy who is just really very creative, very innovative in his approach to ministry. And I love being around people like that because it keeps you on the cutting edge. It won't allow you, being around things like that and people like that, it won't allow you to become stagnant. You know, especially stagnant on what you've already done. You know, sometimes in ministry, we can have a tendency to say, well, you know, I've already done that and I've done it this way. I think it's always good to be open to new ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's important for us because, you know, in a very real way, we've been innovative here in the city of Little Rock. We're doing something, but, you know, and that's great for now. But if we're still saying, hey, in 5 years, look what we did 5 years ago.
Yes.
And it not only does it not serve us, it doesn't serve the community that we're in.
Yeah. Doesn't serve the community we're in, and then the generations to come. I think it's going to be very important that we set the type of culture here that we're forever evolving into who God wants us to be.
Absolutely.
And not becoming so stagnant on where we are right now, but where we're going.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are listening to Grace Unfiltered. We have 3 questions, and sometimes, and I told you before this that you're going to like these questions. He doesn't know the questions before we even start. It's kind of a personality thing. And sometimes the questions are more theological and they're longer, and they're asking about specific passages. These are not those, and it's going to be a fun week.
Okay.
So here's the first one.
We will see.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm actually going to start from the least fun and go to the fun, but to me, they're all relatively fun. Here's the first one they ask. Why are Christians scared of death, and why are they sad when it happens? Why are Christians scared of death, and why are they sad when it happens?
Let me say this. I don't think that all Christians are afraid of death. I believe that some are. And normally it's still the unknown. You're leaving what you're familiar with. And though the Word of God kind of gives us a glimpse of where we're going, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions, you know. So I think the biggest thing is the unknown. And I realize that may say, well, where is our faith and all of that? Well, you know, it's still that big unknown question. Okay, yeah.
Well, it sounds a lot like to me when you're saying that, my mind immediately goes to Peter walking on the water.
Yeah.
Right? He's in the boat.
If it's you.
And God and Jesus is saying, get out of the boat and walk on the water. And we know if Jesus is on the water, I can walk on the water. But we don't walk on water. Right? And so in the same sense, at least in my head, I'm getting the illustration of, you know, we know what's in the boat, but Jesus is saying, hey, on the other side is the water of resurrected life that you never walked in.
Right.
And it can still be scary.
Yes. Yeah. And the second part of that question was?
Why are we sad when it happens?
Why are we sad when it's happened? Yeah, and it goes against what the Word tells us. I think it was David said we ought to mourn when we come into the world and rejoice when we leave out of the world. But once again, it's that thing becoming so familiar with the right now life on this side, and not wanting to let go
of that,
you know, of the people, possessions, places. We get so attached to this side, and sometimes I think we lose sight of the greatness of glory on the other side.
Well, we have Paul in the New Testament who says, and I honestly I feel this way sometimes, especially when life gets harder. You know, I think
you mentioned it last week.
Yeah,
you're like, hey, let's get out of here.
Hey, you know, look, Again, I'm just being honest. It's sometimes when the life, I feel the weight of life on me. I was like, to be with Jesus
is far better.
Is far better than what I have now. But for now, I'm staying with you because it's better for you that I'm here. And when I thought of this, I thought of, you can have many different angles when you're looking at something. One of my good friends here at Grace United, a guy named Judd, and Judd has said a lot of times, he goes, I'm not scared of death, but I don't look forward to dying.
Yes.
So the process of dying, whether it's quick, unexpected, or whether you go over a long period of time, that's just never fun, right?
No.
And I think the sadness is also, the reality is that death is evil, right? When God created, he knew death was coming, but he didn't create for death. Death was a result of sin. And so death is an enemy. So when death takes your spouse, when death takes your children, when death comes, it is an enemy and will eventually be swallowed up in the victory of resurrection when Jesus sets everything right. And so you can be, in a very real way, what Bishop said is true. We should be sad when we come and happy when we go. But also, you can be sad when
the loss of a loved one.
Right.
Yeah.
The most, one of the most famous verses in the Bible, Jesus wept. Why did Jesus wept? He wept at death. He wept at death of a loved one, knowing, here's what's interesting, knowing he was about to raise him, which is an interesting topic in and of itself. Why did Jesus weep, knowing what he was just about to do? And so I think all of these things are right. So I don't think you should be scared of death, although the dying experience isn't great. And I do think that you can look forward to heaven and say, I want to be there. And also, when death happens, say, I mourn that evil has won again for the moment.
Right. Yep. All of that.
Good. Okay. Number 2. Now this is an underhand softball pitch. It'll be interesting to see what it says.
Okay.
All right. Our church is growing quickly. Period. What do you think? They mess some words up here. What do you think are some things that we still need to get better at as a congregation or community?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's a long list.
Yeah, we can't. Right. Yeah, it's a long list.
It's a long
Let's narrow it down to 1 or 2 things.
Okay. Communicating and connecting. I think that's of utmost importance. Anytime you bring 2 different cultures together, you got 2 different ways of communicating. And I think that's one of the big things, just like with me and Pastor Josh, we're learning how to communicate with each other. And I think that's going to be very important with not only the 2 of us, but with the rest of the congregation, that we learn how to better communicate. And I think with better communication, like in any relationship, when there's better lines of communication, there's a stronger connection. One of the things that I'm trying to continue to say from the pulpit, we're family. And though sometimes family can be...
Family can fight.
Family can fight, fall out, all of that kind of stuff. I might want to say we're friends instead of family.
No, we're family. Keep going with the family thing.
But better communication brings about a stronger sense of connection, so that, we won't let anything divide us or separate us. So better lines of communication, a greater connection. The other thing is, what is big on me is caring for the membership. People in this day and time are going through bereavement, grief, trauma in their lives, trauma in their families. And I believe that the church should be a vehicle, whether it's a small group, whether it's a special thing that we offer class, to help people navigate through those things, as well as challenges in marriages, parenting challenges. The church must become so valuable in such a way that people are saying, I go here because my needs are being met. So I think we've got to continue to create those type of environments and situations that's a better fit for people.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the first thing that popped, because like you said, I mean, especially as the leaders of the church, like our list is very long of the things that we want to see. But the one that popped in my head this morning, and if you ask me tomorrow, it might change, is I remember, it happens to be the same guy, Judd Jones. He'll love that I'm quoting him, by the way. But Judd said, he said, maybe even before we officially started the church, he said, we'll know when we succeeded, when we really succeeded, when we start seeing African Americans in white homes and Caucasian people in African American homes, when those relationships are forming naturally, and you see not programmatically,
right,
but naturally. And I thought about that because I thought about that on Super Bowl Sunday, because on Super Bowl Sunday people will post pictures of their Super Bowl parties, and by and large of the people that I saw here at Grace United, most of the parties that I saw are still monoethnic.
Yes.
And I saw white parties and I saw African American parties, and there were some. It wasn't a total wash, but when I saw that, my heart grieved, because I know that we still have work to do. And even in saying this, one of the things that you and I recognize, and I think everyone else should, is this is going to take time. I mean, we're still used to the culture that we grew up in, that we lived 60 plus years, 40 plus years in, and you don't change that overnight. And so I'm not hating on that, but I can say that I long for the day when, in this one example, I see Super Bowl parties, and most of our Super Bowl parties, you see that crossing. And
I believe it's coming.
It is, there's no doubt.
Once again, had an interesting conversation. We got another question?
We do.
Okay. Anything about Sunday?
No, not about Sunday.
Okay. Well, had a good conversation after church with Dr. Davis, who preached for us this past Sunday. He and his wife thing was their children, which are now just getting out of college and just starting college. Their thing is they're going to be looking for this. For what we're doing, they're going to be looking for it. And a lot of that has to do with what they've been exposed to. They've grown up having white friends in their home, them in their white friend's home. So it's a whole different mindset. Whereas my generation, that didn't happen.
Even my generation, that didn't happen as much.
Yes, right. So once again, I think what we're doing now, we're benefiting from it, but it is setting the platform and the situation for the generations to come to feel right at home in this situation.
As I was getting ready this morning, I thought, because even in the past 2 weeks, you and I have worked through some things, not any fights or anything, but worked through communication, working through how do we form this thing, you and I feeling comfortable. And I thought that in many ways we know this, but I thought this morning, you included if you're in Grace United, we are the foundation of something that our children will have an easier time. They can just walk into, and we're the bridge from here to there.
That's it. That's it. I've said from the very beginning, what we're doing is a seed of obedience, and our next generations will reap the harvest of it. Yeah. We're having to deal with the plowing of the field, fertilizing, picking out weeds and all that stuff.
All right. Question number 3. This is just a fun one. I don't know who asked this one, but thank you for this question, I guess. And this is a question that, Bishop, I think that our answer would probably change depending on the day we answered it. But Bishop and Josh, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, wow.
Probably not Travis, but we'll blame it on Travis.
No, that's right.
So I've had a little bit longer to think about it than I vacillated between two movies. Again, if you asked me tomorrow, it'd be different. But the two movies I thought about are Tombstone, which is a Western, kind of, I don't know, 20, 25 years old at this point, and Shawshank Redemption, which is, they're both, I'm not telling you to go watch them, but they're both top level movies. Every time those come on, I'm in like Flynn. That's what I got today.
Yeah. Shawshank is definitely one of mine.
There we go.
And then Equalizer with Denzel.
Okay. You love you some Denzel.
Love me some Denzel, man. Yeah, like I said, man, there's two people I would love to meet, and Denzel is one of them.
Denzel and MJ, right?
That's it.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah. So those two.
Yeah, there you go.
Now the people who know me, they're gonna like, no, those are not your two favorites.
You can change it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Love you guys. Thanks for sending in fun questions. Keep sending in fun questions. We got two services, but Easter's coming up.
Yes.
And we got a little surprise waiting for you guys on Easter. We have a lot of surprises waiting for you. We'll talk about that next week. And other than that, bye, Cynthia.
Bye, Cynthia. Happy birthday.
Birthday.
Bye-bye.
All right.